Hi everyone. Um, so today I want to talk about a specific topic that's near and dear to me. Like um in my previous video, introverts don't have to act like extroverts to be happy. Um, I talked about how these articles that say that tell us that introverts that we need to be happy, that we can be happy being an extrovert, acting like an extrovert, doesn't me being introvert doesn't make me doesn't being part of the introvert community, that doesn't the article was written by an extrovert, and looks like the article was clearly written by an extrovert, and it didn't make any sense to me that they would be saying that because they're asking us to not be ourselves, when in reality we were born this way. It's not something that we inherited. Well, it could be something that we inherited, but or like we're taught to be not be antisocial. That's another word. That's another thing in my previous video. We're not antisocial, but people say we're antisocial when they clearly don't know what the term means. We just have a more sensitive nervous system. We're just born into this. We're born into this, and again, I'm gonna respond again to how these articles are more and more. I see these articles now saying introverts should kind of act or resemble an extrovert to be happy. And again, it doesn't make me feel good. And I'm going to talk about specific introvert, the INFJ. An INFJ is one of the personalities in a Myers-Briggs test, and they not all INFJs are alike. Again, there are eight of the Myers-Briggs personalities that are introverts, and one of them that I'm focusing on is the INFJ. Because one, I'm an INFJ, and I'm also focusing on the empath. Not all empaths are INFJs. Not all INFJs are empaths, but I am also an empath, so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. In rebuttal to how introverts should act more extroverted, because that's a load of baloney to me. And because you're basically saying don't act like yourself. And if you say don't act like yourself, that's just going to make you feel worse. Because you're still trying to figure out yourself, but you don't really know. But someone's telling you, just act differently. And it's like, well, that's easy for you to say because you're already happy. But I'm not happy. It's because there's no one else like you. That's the reason why. Because there's not a lot of people out there who are like you. You're not just gonna walk out one day and say, "Oh, you're an empath too. Hi." It's like, no, you're not gonna do that. And that's why INFJs and empaths are really rare personalities. And you know how one day I was watching The Incredibles, and I love The Incredibles so much. It was the first movie. It wasn't the second movie. The second movie was okay. The first movie, that is always going to be a part of me. And okay, so I was watching the first Incredibles, and I was this was the dinner table scene where This was the dinner table scene where Bob was like, where they were discussing how Dash uh got in trouble with the teacher, and he put a tack on his chair, and yeah, they were Dash and Violet were arguing. Helen and Bob were arguing, and then Violet said to Helen, if you guys don't remember, Violet's the daughter, and Helen is the mom, Elastigirl, Mrs. Incredible, whatever you want to call her. Bob is Mr. Incredible, and Violet is the daughter. Dash is the son. And then there's Jack also, if you want, but he wasn't in it. So well, he was there at the dinner table, but he's a baby, so he wasn't talking. But so she said, I just don't want to act normal. I want to be normal. And like that really resonated in me. That I didn't think of that much of that phrase until I was thinking about this topic that I want to do, this video that I wanted to do. And towards the end of the movie, she was more in tune with her powers. So then she accepted that she's different, and she's not going to be like the rest of her classmates, the rest of the people in her town, and how her family is just never is. Her family are superheroes. Their family have superpowers. It's you're gonna be different no matter whether you like it or not. You were born this way, and that's just like every other super movie out there. The person is born. Almost every other superhero movie, the person is born with these powers, and they're just like, I don't really want these because I'm focused on and they're teens too. I'm focused on going to the dance. I'm focused on getting a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I'm focused on doing all this stuff, and now I finally found out that I have these powers, and if I use them, people just think I'm a freak. And it's like, the thing is, the reason why I brought this up is because empaths are superheroes, and we have superpowers that no one else has. We care a lot. I mean, there are people who care a lot, but I don't know how to explain it, but we have a connection with stuff that's very we have a very deep connection with animals, with plants, with people. That's also the reason why people shouldn't say we're antisocial, because we do love people. We love everything. But we just don't show it in the way that the world wants us to show it. And another one of our superpowers is like, it's just like we know people. We know people probably even before they can even figure out themselves, and we are good counselors, even though we're not actually a counselor. I mean, we can tell someone what they're thinking just by interacting with them for a few seconds. I mean, how many other people do you know who can do that? We have superpowers, and that's the thing. When I was in my teens, in my early 20s, that's around the time that in those superhero movies, they just want to fit in because they don't understand themselves. Violet Incredible, she finally understood herself. She finally understood her powers, so she accepted that, and she was grateful that she had her family and her powers. And that's the thing. In my early 20s, in my late teens, I didn't understand my superpower. I felt so alone. I felt so depressed. I didn't know what to do. I was like, why do I feel this way? Why is everyone else different from me? And that's the thing. And another one of our superpowers is that we can see the good in people. But the thing is, that's a superpower that we haven't developed yet. Those empaths, we are more susceptible to mental illness. But those are when we what was I saying? What we can see we want to see the good in people. We want to change people. But the thing is, sometimes since we don't know how to understand, we don't understand our superpower that well. So we fall into something called martyr syndrome. And I didn't know what that was until my mid-20s. What introvert, empath, INFJ was, I didn't know any of that. So I thought there was no name for what I'm doing, for what I'm feeling. Martyr syndrome is when you want to do everything for that person and then you forget about yourself. That is the one thing that is the main thing that's making us feel depressed, is because we are doing everything and we are not thinking of ourselves. We want to help people. That is how we feel happy, but we are not helping ourselves. And you can't help someone unless you help yourself first, because you're not able to help that person if you're not fully in tune with yourself. And yes, you might think it sounds easier than done. It sounds easier said than done, and it's still hard for me to even though I'm trying now to think more of myself nowadays, it's still hard for me to not say no. You have to say no to people sometimes, because it's just, when you keep saying yes, that means you're not thinking about yourself, and you're just putting other people's needs before yours. And what I'm saying is that I just want everyone to know who is an empath, and people who, even if you're not an empath, just understand what an empath is and what we go through on daily. It's not that we're alone per se. It's that we feel alone because we don't know how to deal with our powers correctly. And I say powers because we are superheroes, because there's no one else like us. And we have supervillains, like all the good ones: Joker, Mr. Freeze, Brainiac, all those other people. We have our supervillains are narcissists. And they're like, those are the people who are antisocial. Though we are not introverts, and empaths or INFJs are not antisocial. Those are the people, because they love to manipulate to get what they want. And actually, sometimes it doesn't even have to be narcissist. Sometimes it can just be someone who generally asks you for help all the time, and they don't see what's wrong because you keep saying yes to them. So you're enabling them to keep taking advantage, when they probably don't even know they're taking advantage of you. And they probably, unless you say, I think you're taking advantage of me, then they'll be like, maybe I am. I don't know. I mean, they're obviously not going to say maybe I am, but they're probably going to be like, why are you coming after attack me? But in real life, but you have to call them out on it. And it's hard for an empath to do that, to call out someone. I mean, just anyone call out someone who's doing wrong. I just wanted to say that we have to come up with ways in which we can tell ourselves we can still use our ability, but we can tell ourselves that we are worth something first. First, we are worth something. We as a person are the main people that we should be focusing on. Not everyone else, because you can help them later. You can. Because they'll be grateful whether you help them later or now. They'll be grateful. But if you help them now before helping yourself, that's how your energy gets drained. And that's why these introverts are always like to do activities alone, because we take on all those emotions from so many people, and so that's why we have so much stress. And so we're doing the same thing that we don't like at the same. We're dealing with so many people's issues, and we're dealing with all that stress, and we have empathy for everyone, so we take on everyone else's emotions. And so that's why we have so much stress. That's why we have so much anxiety. That's why we have so much depression. And it's a lot to take in. That's why we always want to be, that's why most of the time we want to find our own oasis. And we can't do that. Because if we do that, the human body is like a tower. If you hit one part of the body, the whole thing is going to collapse. If you hit one pressure point, the whole thing is going to collapse. An INFJ has extroverted feelings. So, and that pressure point is our extroverted feelings. And if you hit that, then we can crumble. And it's going to take some time for us just like a building, it's going to take some time to rebuild that building that fell down. So again, we have to find time for ourselves. We have to make sure that we are feeling okay before we can do anything. And I just want to say, it's easier said than done, because when I finally found out about martyr syndrome and being an empath, I was just like, I'm looking at all these introvert articles, and I highly recommend, if you're an introvert or empath, INFJ, ISTJ, INFP, whatever you are, if you do an Myers-Briggs test and you have an I in there, then you're probably an introvert. If you have an E, you're an extrovert. I highly recommend going on introvertdear.com, because generally that these articles were written by introverts. And it's not saying that, and they are saying this is why you're unhappy. This is what, but and they're not telling you act like an extrovert. They're telling you you can be happy being an introvert. It's just you need to tweak your life a little bit just to make just to make do with happiness. Because once, when I was in that, when I was in that phase of sadness, I didn't feel like I should deserve to be happy. I'm still a little in that phase right now where should I be happy? Should I? And but you need to make sure that you deserve to be happy and you like everyone else. And that's really all I have to say right now. Um, I don't know if I'll make a part two of this. I think I should because I think I have a lot more information to give. Um, so if you like this content, like and subscribe, and share with other people who, not just introverts, because extroverts need to know that sometimes you gotta shut up about introvert stuff because it's not working. It's like it's like if you tell if a man tells you like, oh, you know what, you should do this to a woman, and it's just like, well, you don't go through this. And it's like if a man tells you, well, you should if a man tells you about your period, it's like, how do you know, how do you know all the stuff that I go through during my period? You've never had a period before because you're a man. And so so remember that when remember that an empath doesn't there are so many different kinds of empaths actually. Like I said before, we can be psychic, we can be intuitive, we can be very intuitive. Um, we there are a lot, and maybe I'll discuss all of them. So one day, um, I don't know exactly what type of empath I am, but I'll try to find that out. Um, so bye.